Hey, welcome back. Today I'm talking with Dr. Taylor Williamson of Williamson Eye Care. They are the first optometry clinic to open in Senoia, Georgia. So we'll be learning a little bit more about that today. She also sits on a committee with the Georgia Optometric Association. It's also very active in her local community, and she's gracious enough to take a few minutes to talk with us. Taylor, great to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. So Senoia, Georgia, which is, we were just talking, is a relatively, I had never heard of it. It's a relatively small town, not unlike the small town that, I grew up in or went to high school in. I think it said somewhere around 5,000 people. So you're there by way of North Dakota, like it's where you grew up. What kind of, explain that like whole journey down to like what led you to opening up your clinic in Senoia?
Absolutely. So it's kind of a long journey. I grew up in North Dakota in Bismarck. And growing up there, I was a advanced student. And so I actually was in a robotics competition in sixth grade. We took first at the state competition, and it brought us to the international competition in Atlanta, Georgia. So that was the first time that I was ever in Georgia. I absolutely fell in love with Atlanta. We left. I told my parents, I'm going to live there one day. Of course, they were like, yeah, sure, sure, whatever. But obviously here I am. But so I went to undergrad specifically on the pre-optometric path at my undergrad in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And got into my first choice school, which was Southern College of Optometry in Memphis. So that kind of got me halfway here. And then I met my husband, who happened to be from pretty much Atlanta, Georgia, and here I am.
Awesome. Okay. And did I see that on your website? You met in optometry school? Yeah.
We did, yes.
Well, perfect. So it's kind of like you held out that intention from a young age, the robotics competition, and then you end up just happening to meet your husband, who happens to be from Georgia, and it just worked out.
Yes,
That was the
yep, it
path.
all just kind of fell into place.
Fell into place. Isn't that amazing what can happen when we just think a certain way and believe, right? It's like
Yes.
this world has an odd way of making that work. So that's very cool. Did you know from a young age also that you wanted to be in optometry, or how did that come about?
Yes and no. From when I was very young, I actually was obsessed with Legally Blonde, and I wanted to be a lawyer.
Didn't we all?
But yeah, right. But my mom was an optician, me growing up. And about the time I hit my freshman year of high school, she was like, I really think you need to rethink this whole lawyer thing. I don't think that's the path for you. So she worked at an ODMD practice and actually got it set up that I could come and watch cataract surgery and see what that was all about. Um, so I did that, decided that wasn't the route for me, but I really liked the optometry side of things. And so from my freshman year of high school, basically, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Super fortunate to have like some early exposure, right,
Yes.
into the world, because into that profession. I was super fortunate as well that I had a great accounting instructor as a sophomore. So I just always like I see people who like took alternate paths to get to their end goal, and and then there's people who rack up like 2 or 3 degrees and still don't know what they want to be when they grow up, and it's like or 3/4 of 2 or 3 degrees, right? It's like it's a bigger blessing in disguise, I think, that we were pointed on a path, and that, oh, by the way, we happen to like that path.
Yes.
I always joke around because you talked about being able to see cataract surgery and kind of job shadowing, if you will, at a younger age. And I did that too. I think if I would have relied on the job shadowing of the typical accountant that I did go job shadow, I don't know if I would have stuck with the profession. It was like that was the most boring afternoon of my life, was job shadowing this other accountant. But he was a good guy. It was just it wasn't very thrilling office atmosphere. In that particular case, there's others like me who are much more exciting. So anyways, I'm sure cataract surgery sounds like a lot more fun to witness. So okay, tell us a little bit about your the clinic there in Senoia. Do you have a full optical and clinic side, or is it you and your husband are the only doctors there?
It's mostly me that's here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm here most of the week, and I go to our other clinic in Tyrone on Fridays. So we have a full optical, fully automated lane. We have a manual lane as well. Then we have the Optomap, all of that good stuff. We have a virtual visual field machine here as well. The only really big piece of technology that I don't have in this location currently is an OCT.
Oh, okay. All right. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, and it's been running now. I know it said we were the first
Yes.
clinic in Senoia for how long? When did you
We've
open?
been open almost 2 years. It will be 2 years, October 7th.
Oh, wow. Okay. So not that long at all. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we talked a little bit in the opening about, you sit on this on a committee, you're active in your local community. What are some things like, a lot of folks, we get into business for ourselves and, we want to serve people and patients in a high way or in our own way at a high level. But we're also looking to usually serve some other mission or purpose where we see a change at some level, whether it's in our industry or locally or even on a bigger stage. Is there something like that, like a bigger mission that you're looking to serve through your work?
Absolutely. So I am very passionate about the field of optometry in general, and I do feel very passionate about optometry in the medical industry on the medical side of things. So that's really what we've been aiming, even in the last year, more so recently. But since I started 4.5 years ago, really trying to aim towards that medical and, treat our patients on a holistic approach, not just, come in, get your eyeglass prescription, your contacts prescription, and go out the door. So one of the things that I do at my clinic in Senoia is I require blood pressure on every patient over the age of 18. And this is simply because a lot of my patients, I have noticed, come to the eye doctor more than they go to their primary care, etc. I also require a retinal screening, whether it's through the Optomap or through dilation, on every comprehensive exam that walks through my door. Again, because we can detect so many different diseases that people don't go to their primary care for, that I can say, hey, I'm seeing a higher blood pressure, I'm seeing some vessel changes, we really need to work together and have a cooperative effort with your primary care, whoever. So I am very passionate about the medical side of things and also myopia control. As far as with kids. So I do see a lot of kids, and we do offer multiple avenues of the myopia control, trying to help manage that. Me being a high myope myself, I'm very passionate about it. This is something that wasn't really known or available to me as a child, and probably would have prevented me from becoming a -6. So I'm very passionate about that as well. And just really educating my patients on what optometry is, what we can do for you, and that we aren't just, here's your prescription, on to the next, you're not just a number. My patients mean something to me. They're very important to me. And I make it a part of my mission to make sure my staff feels the same, that every patient that walks through our door feels welcome.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you in the fact that when I was, younger and growing up, I mean, I've had glasses since the 4th grade and probably needed them a good 2 or 3 years sooner. But I was one of those kids that, fairly introverted at the time, even more so than today. And, just never rose my hand and said, I can't see right.
Yep.
So, but that was the experience. So long. It wasn't until I started working with optometrists at a professional level that I kind of started really realizing that, there's so much more, like the eyes were a window into a whole other world of your overall health. Right. And
exactly.
How much you could really see by helping us. There's some, if I was a marketing person, I'd have that tagline, how much you can really see. I don't know what the tagline or the marketing line is there, but there's something there. You can develop it and take it. I'll give you full rights. Full rights.
Perfect.
Uh, so I told you earlier, I was in a good mood today. Like, anyways, what has been, so back to you, what has been some of the toughest challenges on your journey, like bringing these ideas into reality? Because what I'm mostly interested in too is like small town, right? So I don't know what type of, like, what the outlet was or what the closest town was for a lot of folks in Senoia before you came along, right? But I'd have to imagine that there was some like certain level of education to take them from, if they were having that experience of I'm going to spend 15 minutes and do the exam and give you your prescription and you're on your way, to what you're doing, which is much more comprehensive, right? And taking it a level further. So, is there an education process in getting people to be like no, other places may ask you to do this, but we're going to require you to do this, because you were very emphatic on the requiring part.
Yes.
When you're talking about it.
It does. There is an education process. Most of the private practices in Georgia are also, or at least in our area, but I think as a whole in Georgia, are very good about requiring, because it is actually part of the way that the GOA and the Optometric Board in Georgia has done the laws and written all of our requirements and stuff has been very helpful, because they actually, to perform a comprehensive exam in Georgia, you have to have a retinal evaluation. Okay. So as far as that goes, that makes it easier on me as the doctor, saying, because you do get some pushback. People don't want to be dilated. They don't want to do the Optomap. But it is actually part of the Georgia law of what is understood as a comprehensive exam. But there has been a lot of education. We have done a lot of community outreach since coming into Senoia, because, as you mentioned, the closest clinic to us is probably at least 20-25 minutes away before we came in. And so it was, education, like, we're here, and then also, differentiating ourselves from the big box stores. We're not just about getting you out the door. And that's a really big part of our community. They are very much into the whole full approach and wanting the best care and all of, have a relationship with us. So really, once we started being more involved in the community and I started doing some more of the things that I can be involved with, that helped a lot. And we've gotten a lot of patients that came to us simply because we support our community. We help with a lot of the events that go on and that kind of thing. But, a lot of because we are such a small area, we don't really have TV advertising, radio advertising specific to this area. So we rely a lot of word of mouth kind of advertising. So the care that the patients receive here, they talk about it and they go, tell their friends and their family. And so I've gotten a lot of referrals just because, I have people come back and say, my best friend told me it's the most comprehensive exam she's ever had, that she was, and so the education really helps them understand and then realize that they don't want substandard care. They want the full comprehensive look at everything. They want to make sure that everything is okay.
For sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And in a town like that, right? That's one of those sizes of towns where like everybody knows everybody's everything. Right?
Yep.
Pretty much. So it's like you can't sneeze without the person across town knowing that the next day. Like so the fact that I think that's sounds like the greatest process, to just let that spread naturally or organically like that, but it's fueled by what you're doing in the clinic when you have it in front of you. So that's great. Awesome. So what has been, talk a little bit about challenges. What has been a major like victory or success you would peg that's been like real meaningful for you so far in your career?
Um, so I think I've had a few, but first of all, just getting the clinic to the point that it's at, we pretty much, it was pretty much a cold start, essentially. Our other clinic is about 30 minutes away, and most of the patients here had never heard of it before. So for me, the status that we have received and achieved so far in the community is a huge achievement. It has been amazing, and it was a challenge to get there. You know, people didn't know us, people didn't want to switch, all of that stuff. So just where we're at now is great. We still have a long way to go, but I'm very happy with where we're at right now. But I had a patient New Year's Eve 2021. She was my last patient of the day and just came in for a normal eye exam, and she had papilledema.
Mm.
She had no idea. So we sent her out, we got her treated, and thankfully there was no tumor or anything like that. But um, she has been one of the closest patients that I've had, and we still get together, we still talk, and that was one of my most challenging things because it was New Year's Eve. What do you do? Everybody's closed, you know. But we were able to wrangle with our other connections through the ophthalmology world and stuff. We got her taken care of that night, and her mom says that it made all the difference in the world, and that's probably one of my biggest achievements is just treating her and getting her where she is today. No papilledema, seeing great, no headaches. So that's been amazing.
That is.
And then being involved in the GOA too. That's been I was tapped to join the membership committee, trying to get more ODs involved and all of that kind of stuff. And that's been really rewarding as well. So
Awesome. Oh, that's great. Yeah. I think, well, look, any chance we get to, especially if you're asked, right? If you get tapped to uh, join an association like that, that it can be. I mean, it takes time and effort, and it's time away from everything else you have going on in your world, family and practice, but and just downtime sometimes, right? But
yeah.
to hear, it's totally rewarding. Is great, and probably um, something that a lot of folks should really take consider, like if they, especially if they're being asked, right, taking the time
Yes.
to join that. Very good. What is final question for you? Maybe you've already kind of dropped it, but if you want to revisit something you've already said, that's great. And if not, if you got something new, that's fine too. But what is a piece of advice you'd give to others who are going along on their journey right now?
Absolutely. So my advice is to just, and I tell, this is my whole thing with my staff too, is treat everybody like you don't know what's going on in their life. I come in and I can have the most crabby patient who's had the worst day ever, and I'm smiling and I'm happy and I'm just, I'm there for them and let them know like this is a safe space. Like we're here to make your day better. We're here to treat you. So I kind of have the treat others how you want to be treated mentality as far as that goes, but have fun too. Every patient that walks through that door is a new challenge. And it keeps the day interesting for sure to, treat every patient that walks through your door like you have no idea what's going on, like you're going to find something. And if you don't, you don't. But it keeps your job interesting. It's not the same monotony of doing the same thing with every patient. And I kind of alluded to it earlier, make everybody feel comfortable. So I had a patient a couple weeks ago. She was 6 and terrified of all doctors.
Oh, wow.
And mom was very concerned because every doctor that they've been to, it's been a struggle and she's not been cooperative or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, I see a fair amount of kids, especially in the community I'm in. It's a younger community. And so we asked, is there anything that we can do to help make her more comfortable? And my office manager, who is also my mom, mentioned that I have red hair and I look like Ariel. when my hair is down. So the mom said, "Oh my gosh, Ariel is her favorite Disney princess." Like, whatever. And my mom's like, "Oh, we'll just make sure she has her hair down that day." Well, I actually have an Ariel outfit. And so I dressed up as Ariel from The Little Mermaid that day.
Okay.
And she absolutely loved it. She is not scared of the eye doctor anymore. She had to get glasses. She was scared she was going to have to get glasses. She is now excited to get her glasses. And it's now a thing that I do with kids that come in. I dress up as Ariel when I have kids come in. It makes them feel more comfortable. And so that just find something that sets you apart and makes people want to come back.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And makes people happy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her mom was really happy.
Amazing.
Her grandma is a patient that I've seen for a while. Every time they come in now, because her grandma is she's one of my frequent flyer patients. So I see her at least once a month. And every time she comes in, she's like, "Oh, she just loved that. And thank you so much." And so, yeah, it's really fun. And I really enjoy it. I like to dress up and have fun with the kids. And so, it just find that one thing that gives you joy, gives your patients joy, and makes your job way better.
That's awesome. Very good. Well, thanks, Taylor, so much for taking time out of your day and making all these people happy and talking with us today. It was a great pleasure. Hopefully, we'll get the chance to chat again here in the future.
Yes, yes, absolutely.